Hello Trash Pandas, today I've got a video I've been looking forward to sharing with you because we should be able to get a whole bunch of scrap copper. Today, we're going to be scrapping a pile of transformers and see how much we make. These things are loaded with copper, so we could bring them in just the way they are, but we should be able to increase our payout quite a bit. So I'm going to record how long it takes and we'll see just how much more we make. Now, I've seen Project Shop Florida use a splitter on these things. It works amazing, but we don't have one of those. What we're going to use is an angle grinder. A corded one, so we get the extra amps and it doesn't bog down, as well as maybe some snips and probably some hammers and a selection of punches. We also need personal protective equipment, so this time that's going to mean gloves and eye protection and a respirator. Now, embarrassingly, I couldn't find my respirator today and I need to get the job done. So instead, I'm going to use a little fabric face mask and my full face shield. This is not ideal because whenever making dust like this, you really don't want to breathe it in, no matter what metal it is. But these things also have fire-resistant wrapping inside them. You definitely don't want to breathe it in. It's probably not asbestos, but it's still not healthy. Anyway, let's get started. Now, when I picked this one up, somebody had actually thrown it in a fire to melt away all of the glue, insulation, anything that could be burned. So that's how I know this is fireproof material. But I'm not sure it made it significantly easier. We're going to find out, though. Well, I could be wrong. That was pretty easy. Now for the first real one. Well, I think I see the advantage of burning away all the glue and paper in the first place, although I'm not sure it would save a lot of time because that process takes time as well. It would make it a bit easier, though. Lots of beautiful copper. Don't want to lose the copper dust either. Normally it wouldn't bother me, but this is kind of a lot. think getting these out of the way might make the cuts easier to do. Having these out of the way definitely makes knocking the copper out easier. Nice. Now I just gotta pick all this paper out of here. Hopefully I can get a higher grade if there isn't too much junk stuck all over it. Yeah, this one's not going to come clean. Now this one, I've got a bit of practice, so I want to see just how quickly I can fly through this. There we go. That took about 25 minutes, 30 counting all of the sorting and putting everything where it goes. Now, I'm not suggesting 25 minutes as a high point or a time to beat. I have no doubt tons of people with better tools and more experience could beat that time. What I'm suggesting is the average person could expect to get through these in 30 minutes or less. Now, I want to see how a smaller one turns out. Exact same process, just with a lot more melted plastic. This one was much easier and much faster. The copper windings are much cleaner than the bigger ones. Speaking of which, this one's kind of a medium. Sort of sits in the middle. Well, the process was the same, and it was pretty easy to get out, but this stuff is nasty. Definitely not getting the top grade for this one. Now, some microwave transformers. Normally I just bash these open with a hammer along the weld seam, but since I've got everything set up, I want to see if this works better. I think these windings are too soft, and they get deformed when you try to punch them out, which actually makes them more difficult. And most of them are disappointing aluminum anyway. Went back to the old hammer method. Works good. And that's a pile of steel, a bucket of copper, and an unexpected fistful of aluminum. £233 of steel, or 105 kilos. £77.5 of copper windings, 35 kilos. And a kilo of aluminum, 2 pounds. The trash is not a negligible amount either, 4 pounds. Cool, we're back. No need to dance around it, I suppose. This isn't really a question of whether it was worth it, because anytime you can pull 15 pounds of copper out of something an hour, it's probably worth it. But I did run the numbers just to see how much. And keep in mind, I'm listing this all in Canadian dollars. So, there was a bit of a win. I got clean number 2 copper wire windings for all of that stuff. And that's partially because I have a good relationship with them, and also because I put the extra effort into trying to pick out as much of the paper as possible. If it was packed full of paper and glue, then I would have gotten a lower price. But I got $4.50 a pound for 78 pounds. We made $351 on the copper alone, plus $1.80 for the 2 pounds of aluminum, and I haven't taken in the steel, but if I got 10 cents a pound, that would be $23. So a total of 376 bucks. We actually got paid. If we hadn't done any of that work and taken them in the way they were, I would have gotten 25 cents a pound. Now, that's at that place. I think I could get a better price, a better grade, other places, possibly as high as 40 cents. So we'll split the difference and call it 30 cents for 233 pounds of steel, 78 pounds of copper, 2 pounds of aluminum, and 4 pounds of trash would be 317 pounds. At 30 cents a pound is 95.10. So about $100-ish we would have made just bringing them in unprocessed, which means we made roughly $280 profit by putting in the extra work. Plus minus a little, I used 6 cutting wheels, and estimate 4 hours work. Now, I'm not saying that's good. I'm sure you can cut that down a lot by having more practice. If I used better cutting wheels, I just used the cheap garbage, but I know if I spent the money on a good one, I'd probably get through most of that job with one rather than a whole pile of them. And of course you'd save time if you had a bigger saw with bigger blades, or maybe a hydraulic wedge to just split them in the first place, or even an air chisel, which I would love to have, but I don't. Air chisel is definitely the right way to take windings out. So at a generous 4 hours, we made roughly $70 an hour. That's not bad. I'd do that again, and I'll definitely be saving them because that was the most profitable time spent processing scrap I think I've ever seen. I do want to touch on the burning question. Like and subscribe. Should I bother burning them? Well, it would make it a lot easier, but it comes with its challenges. Now, personally, I'm completely against burning wire to strip them. I don't think that's time well spent. I think a tool makes it a lot easier, a lot cleaner, and a lot faster. With these particular units, I don't have the same moral objection to burning the glue in the paper. There's a lot less of it. I don't want to have that big cloud of smoke in my neighborhood. I don't think my neighbors would appreciate that. It's gross. It's stinky. It would take a lot more time. It's not hands off. It would be several hours of me sitting there feeding it the fire and moving these things around to actually get them fully burned. What you would get is a guaranteed number 2 grade on the copper windings you recovered. I was pretty fortunate this time. I think most people in most situations would see a downgrade on at least some of those windings on account of the glue and paper stuck to them. Burned up and covered in ash, that'll be number 2. You'll never get number 1 from these copper windings. That's not to say it's not possible, but any process that's going to turn those into number 1 would use a bunch of acid or a bunch of mechanical tumbling. It would be pretty intense in terms of costs, and it wouldn't be worthwhile. Was this process worthwhile, though? Absolutely. And if you thought this video was worthwhile, well, I look forward to reading your comments. Like and subscribe for some more scrap content coming up real soon. Thanks for watching. Leave it better than you found it. Keep doing the thing.